Hello and welcome to BitBoy Crypto. I am your host, BitBoy. Our community, we call it the Bit Squad. We would love for you to be part of it. All you got to do, click the subscribe button so you can watch our videos. We make them every single day. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Now, if you're new to our channel, we're giving away $500 worth of Bitcoin. We're almost to the second month of our contest. It's spanning 2 months. All you got to do, like this video, comment on this video. You must be a subscriber to win. Make sure you check all the information down below in the video description for the details of the contest. So as we get into this, the history and present and future of Ethereum, just know this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to invest in Ethereum. I'm just going to be giving you guys a quick beginner's guide to understanding Ethereum from start to finish, but it's not going to be completely comprehensive. So if you are really big into Ethereum, hopefully you can learn something new today, but who knows, maybe you won't. So to understand Ethereum, you really have to understand Bitcoin and what its intended purpose was, so that way you know why Ethereum is different, what it's trying to do, and really what it has already done. So when Bitcoin was invented, there were so much more potential behind the technology that people didn't even really see at the time. So the implications of blockchain and cryptography were absolutely enormous. There were so many more things that could be done in a project other than to just be able to send value back and forth. So Bitcoin was meant to be peer-to-peer value transfer. So you were basically going to be able to send digital cash and digital cash only to someone. And that would basically be on demand. So when you were ready to send that to someone, you would just send it to them. Well, when Vitalik Buterin in 2013 first came up with the idea for Ethereum, first of all, he was only 19 years old. So that blows the mind that someone that young could come up with this idea. But basically what he wanted to do was to build on the ideas of Bitcoin and to make Ethereum a totally different platform that could do much, much, much more. So the basis for his idea was that Ethereum was going to be, in simple terms, a distributed world computer or a decentralized network. So Ethereum was built to be used by anyone. So it's a public open source blockchain. Anyone who wants to develop on Ethereum is able to do so. However, they must understand the programming language. So the programming language of Ethereum is called Solidity. Now, it's not a common language that you would use outside of Ethereum. So a lot of programmers, they have to learn the language in order to develop on it. So you or I, who are not an experienced programmer and know nothing about Solidity, we couldn't just jump on there and start building, but it is open source. So if you understand how to build on it, you can. There's nothing blocking you from doing that. So on the Ethereum platform, it was designed to be able to hold all kinds of things, or systems, if you will. So those include decentralized applications, which are better known as dApps or dApps. I like to say dApps instead of dApps because that's dApps to me. But anyways, so of course the dApps, digital assets, which are called ERC20 tokens. So those are the transfer of value on the blockchain. Almost all of the projects on CoinMarketCap, not almost all of them, but a vast majority of them are ERC20 tokens, which shows the vast capabilities of Ethereum and the success of it so far, that it has been the premier choice to build applications on, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So also non-fungible assets, decentralized exchanges, reputation systems, peer-to-peer, gambling and gaming avenues, decentralized autonomous organizations, also known as DAOs. We'll talk about that also in a second. And the main thing that is hosted on Ethereum are smart contracts. So to me, in my opinion, the most revolutionary idea of Ethereum has been the smart contracts. So with Bitcoin, like we said earlier, it's money sent peer-to-peer on demand. When you want to send the money, you send the money. With Ethereum, the value is only transferred when certain conditions are met. And those conditions are outlined in a contract, or what they call as a smart contract. I don't know if when you were back in school, you remember doing something that was like, if X, then Y, and you figure out X, and then you got to figure out what Y is. And when that equation is solved, you know, something's supposed to work. Well, that's the way that the smart contracts work. When certain conditions are met, let's say it was a digital asset that was on the blockchain. When those conditions are met, that asset is released to the other person involved in the contract. And I don't think it necessarily has to be a person, but whatever that smart contract is calling for. So after they had this idea after Vitalik Buterin had this idea, and then they developed it a little bit further, they decided to start developing the project in 2014. So Vitalik Buterin and a team of developers, including Charles Hoskinson, which you may know from Cardano or Ethereum Classic, which we will also get to, they began working together on this. The next year after that, the mainnet was launched and Ethereum was off and running. This was all done through a Swiss company. Eventually, that company would become or branch off to the Ethereum Foundation. And it's important to note that everything has not always been sunshine and rainbows for Ethereum. So one major incident that changed the entire course of the project in a drastic way was the hacking of the DAO. So a decentralized autonomous organization had been created to serve as a decentralized investment channel for the community. And basically what a DAO means, like I've said it a couple times, decentralized autonomous organization, is it's a decentralized group where not one person or entity is in charge. The community shares the burden of the project or of the DAO. So they created this, and it was funded for $150 million. However, in 2016, the DAO was hacked due to a vulnerability in the code, and $50 million out of the total $150 million investment was hacked and was completely stolen. So this actually brought up a huge debate in the Ethereum community. So it's a debate sprang up between two factions. There was one faction that felt like they wanted to keep the code the same because they said code is law. That's a famous quote that came out of that. And then the other ones felt like that Ethereum would actually be safer if they moved it to another blockchain because they weren't sure if the hackers still had access to the digital assets that were on the blockchain. So in July of 2016, which is 1 month after the hack, Vitalik Buterin announced that a hard fork would be the best way to protect the Ethereum blockchain. And also it was kind of where the miners of Ethereum, the majority of the miners had decided that was the way that Ethereum was going to go. And really Vitalik decided there wasn't anything he could really do to stop it, and that it probably was also a good idea. So the interesting thing is the hard fork that was caused by this is today what we know as Ethereum. It is it is a new blockchain. It is not the original Ethereum blockchain. The original chain has become Ethereum Classic. So very interesting how this happened. That, you know, usually like with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash is the fork. Now, of course, your Bitcoin Cash people will argue that it's the real Bitcoin. But regardless of that, it's a fork. The original chain is still Bitcoin. But with Ethereum, it's different than I think any other one. I can't think of another instance where the original chain is something different. But now we have Ethereum versus Ethereum Classic. Now, Ethereum, the new chain, ultimately would become the premier destination for people trying to build decentralized apps and also projects, digital assets such as ERC20 tokens or non-fungible tokens. So it became much, much more popular, and we've seen that in the market cap. This is number 2, right behind Bitcoin, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I believe it will remain there. But also, the original chain, Ethereum Classic, does remain a force of its own. Recently, it has been announced it will be going on Coinbase. Out of all the possible additions, Ethereum Classic is the only one that is confirmed, basically because of all the logistics behind Ethereum being on Coinbase. It was going to be very easy for them to add Ethereum Classic. So I also am very bullish on Ethereum Classic. I think it is going to be a great project of its own. Okay, so what is the future for Ethereum? Well, 2 things that are currently being implemented but have not been completed is the transition from proof of work, aka mining, to proof of stake. So this is actually going to be called the Casper update, where they're going to switch from POW to POS. Also in the future, Ethereum is going to be implementing sharding. So that is a way to send information and data in a decentralized manner. So in my opinion, where does this leave Ethereum? I believe Ethereum is the second best project in all of cryptocurrency. I believe it will remain number 2. I think that eventually it's not going to ever pass Bitcoin, but its market cap is going to grow vastly, and it will be one that I believe is a good investment, not financial advice, because it's going to stick around. I feel like we talk about it every day on the channel. I believe eventually the cryptocurrency bubble is going to pop, and we're going to whittle down from about 1,700 projects, if you count ICOs, probably closer to 5,000 or so, down to about 20 to 30, maybe, and I think that's a conservative number. I think you could say 50, 100, but I don't think any more than that by any stretch of the imagination. And so you're looking for something that's going to have staying power, and I believe Ethereum is definitely going to have staying power. It's got Vitalik Buterin behind it, which is one of the greatest minds in cryptocurrency, evidenced by the fact he came up with this when he was 19. It's absolutely nuts. But I want to share this video for you guys who are beginners and may not know what Ethereum is. You've heard of it, maybe you've heard of ERC20 tokens, but you don't know the history, you don't know the controversy, you don't know about the fork, Ethereum versus Ethereum Classic, and everything like that. So basically, I hope that this was a good video where you were able to gain a basic understanding of the differences between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, what Ethereum does, the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin. Basically, Bitcoin is a one-trick pony. It does that trick very well. However, Ethereum is a vastly more technologically advanced system that involves many, many more aspects than just sending money back and forth. However, it is important to note that Ethereum itself, the actual coin, it is a coin. So the actual Ethereum coin is used to transfer value back and forth, just like Bitcoin is. However, the platform itself and all of the ERC20s that are built on it, they all do vastly different things. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you to understand everything that we've talked about. If you have any questions, go ahead, drop them down below in the comments. I would be glad to answer them or maybe point you in a direction. If you guys ask me a question, I generally will answer it, or maybe I'll say I don't know, but I at least try to engage with you in that sense. So if you haven't watched any of our videos before and you would love to become a subscriber, we would love that. I can tell you that. All you got to do, click the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell so you get notifications. I've been getting some reports that people are not getting notifications when we do live streams. So make sure you have that bell clicked so you will get that notification. And at that point, if they're not sending it, then, you know, haters gonna hate. What can we do? So everybody, thanks for watching again. Until next time, BitBoy out.